Welcome to this edition of the BRSN Insider. Sitting down with Benedictine College baseball coach Anthony Everman. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You guys are sitting at 19-22, 9-13 in conference. Your thoughts on the season as a whole so far?
Yeah, the season for us, we've had some up and downs. We've got a lot of guys that have got a lot of playing experience that I think is really going to help us down the stretch. If you look at our statistics from the year, we've had a lot of guys that are up around 50 at bats, and it's kind of rare in our conference to have that many people contributing. Also on the mound, we've had a lot of guys pitch and a lot of guys get experience, and I look forward to that helping us as we go down the stretch here.
You guys went up to Des Moines on Tuesday. You dropped both of those.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on those games?
Grandview's a good program. They've been playing really well lately. Their starting pitching is definitely in their strong suit. Their offense had an opportunity to score some runs against us, which they haven't done. And the second game we had the lead going in late in the game. We felt good about where we're at, and it slipped away from us there. But our guys competed game two. We got some new guys in the lineup. They did a good job of trying to run off the plan that we went in to try to execute. And, again, it's a bright spot for me because I feel like if we execute what we're trying to execute, we're a pretty tough team to play, which it is for everybody.
Yeah.
But, that's the goal, is to have a plan of attack and execute it.
How important has the freshman class been? Because games we've done, you're starting 4, 5, sometimes even 6 freshmen.
Yeah.
How have they impacted this year?
In a lot of ways, on the mound, defensively, offensively, in all three areas, they've impacted our program. And, we just have really good people in our program. And, the past 2 years, we started a lot of young guys, and we're excited about the future. We're getting them experience that maybe in other programs they don't get. We're trying to build the foundation of success long term here. And I think those guys are going to be a big part of it, as, all the classes we brought in. Young guys have got experience early, and you're seeing it pay off for guys like, Michael Slayton and Daryl Myers and Mike Cruz and Cam Miller, Ben Costello from last year coming back as sophomores and have an opportunity to produce again. So we're hoping that through our development in our program that the same things happen for our freshmen that are getting experience this year.
And you get to play Evangel Friday and Saturday, a game that could be very important for seeding when it comes to the conference tournament. What are your expectations for Friday and Saturday?
Well, Evangel's having a really good year. The starting pitching for them is their strong suit as well. It has been the last couple of years that we've gone down there. This is the first time they've actually come here in my 3 years. So, it's going to be another good conference battle, I think. It's just going to be a matter of who executes better. And, I know that they're playing to have the highest seeding possible that they can, and we're going for the same thing. So I'm looking forward to a really good series.
And then the weather change between Friday and Saturday, how does that impact the way you guys play?
It really doesn't. We practice in cold weather all the time. I think it's a mindset for us to just, go out and produce, and regardless if it's warm or cold. Our guys practicing it all the time. I really don't think it's a factor for us at all.
Okay. And then the conference outlook right now, like where are you guys sitting and where is the rest of the conference at this point in the year? Yeah,
it's really interesting. There's a big clump of us right there in the middle, and, these last 10, 12 games for each program are really big. For us to try to stay out of that play-in game is important, but us making the conference tournament is more important. So, we're kind of focused on getting in, and then, once you're in the tournament, anything could happen. So, we try to take one game at a time, and just try to execute what we're trying to do each game. And, at the end of the year, they all matter. It's not just the last 10, it's all of them, once you get down to the last seedings there.
And like you said, 2 weeks left, 2 more 4 home game series.
Mm-hmm.
What are your expectations for the rest of the year?
Well, I just want our guys to go out and compete as hard as they can. We have 4 seniors that have been in our program, and 2 of them have been here before I was on campus and hired. So, it's a special time for those guys to make the best run they can at the end of the year. And I know our other guys are well aware of that and want to put them off on a good note. So for us, it's more about game 1 tomorrow and going from there. But as you try to finish off the year, you want to see your guys compete as hard as they can and execute.
All right, Coach. Thank you very much for joining us.
Really appreciate it.
Benedictine College baseball coach Anthony Everman on the BRSN Insider.
A wise man once said, "The world offers you comfort, but you were not made for comfort. You were made for greatness." Discover what you were made for. Benedictine College, where greatness begins.
Back on the BRSN Insider, I'm sitting down with Director of Athletic Performance, Chuck Hollwedel. Chuck, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Go ahead and talk about your background and how it is that you got to Benedictine.
Absolutely. So I'm originally from Colorado, and then committed to the University of Kansas to play football there originally. So I was recruited. A couple injuries later, that didn't pan out. I knew I wanted to stay involved in athletics, but I wasn't quite sure how. I initially went to school doing the physical therapy route, and then had an internship back home one summer in the athletic performance setting. So I was helping athletes in different areas, and then found out that I really loved that. And I knew I wanted to do coaching somehow, so I was able to combine my two passions of helping athletes perform better, as well as coaching and become a strength conditioning coach at the college level.
Yeah.
I did some internships with some of the athletes, some of the sports teams. I was able to work with some of the athletes at KU, found out that I loved it, and then ultimately wanted to do this in the long run. So that's how I ended up getting here. I did an internship here, and I've been here ever since, and it's been a really exciting time.
So your position wasn't a position before you got here. Talk about how all that came to be.
Yes, so I did an internship here, starting off with the football team. And my primary role was to work strength conditioning with the football team in the spring, so their off-season, handle all their off-season weights, conditioning sessions, plyometrics, all that. Ended up also coaching spring ball for the defensive backs positions. Yeah. I helped out Coach Gardmeyer with that. And that was awesome. We loved it. We clicked very well. And then, fortunately enough, they thought I did a good enough job with the football team. They decided to keep me around. Coach Gardmeyer, about 3/4 of the way through my internship, asked me if I would be interested in a full-time position, and I said yes. I love the environment here. I love what the BC mission is and what it has to offer. So then him and President Minnis talked about it. They were able to, fortunately enough, create a full-time position. We had an interview, and then it's kind of been this way ever since. And then, as you said, there wasn't a position like this beforehand, which is very interesting, coming into a new position and kind of really forming the program behind it. And originally we talked about me just being with football, but then we realized that it'd be more beneficial for the entire athletic department if I was able to work with every team and oversee every team. So that's when we decided to make my title the Director of Athletic Performance and oversee every varsity team that we have here, which has been quite the adventure, that's for sure.
I know a lot goes into your position. Just describe what exactly your position is.
Yeah, so essentially my job is to make the athletes perform better in their competition. At the end of the day, that's what I'm supposed to do. Whether that's running faster, jumping higher, being stronger, more stable, better balance, injury prevention, whatever goes into that, specifically for each athlete, that's my job. So a lot of coaches, they spend a lot of their time working different mechanics and skill sets with their athletes, specifically whether it's baseball or softball, maybe it's throwing mechanics, or maybe it's football, memorizing different plays and being able to execute those plays and different techniques that it takes to do your position on the field, or whatever it may be. My job is to help them do that more naturally and more athletically. So really that's kind of what it comes down to, is seeing the individual assessment of each athlete. What do they need more to improve specifically for their sport, and trying to maximize their potential for that specifically.
And what does a day look like for you?
The average day for me can get pretty crazy sometimes, but typically it starts off with some morning sessions. I'll work with athletes as early as 5:30 in the morning sometimes, but typically it starts at about 6 a.m. I'll have a team come in. We'll do our different sessions, and that really ranges in a lot of different things, whether it's resistance training, plyometrics or conditioning, whatever it may be. So for our resistance component, we do a lot of different things, use a lot of different modalities in order to help the athlete compete at a higher level. So we'll use dumbbells and barbells and bands and med balls, exercise balls, a lot of different things to help them grow in different areas that can help them succeed. So that's kind of what those hour sessions, typically it's about an hour, that's what about those hour sessions contain. There's a lot of that. And so typically from about 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. it's really busy. And from 9 a.m. to noon, I'll have a lot of different meetings, specifically either with the head coach, position coach, or with the athletic trainers for that specific sport. I try to work very well with the athletic trainers. We can figure out what injuries that were going on, and have a great line of communication between not only myself and the athlete, but myself and the coaching staff as well, and the trainers. So we can all be on the same page, trying to help the athlete improve as much as possible. And then from about noon until kind of depends, sometimes 6 or 7 p.m. We'll have teams in and out of the weight room doing their sessions and whatnot. So it's a pretty long day, but the athletes you get to work with, the individuals, the personalities, it all makes for a really exciting day and a lot of fun in the long run.
All right, well, thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely.
The Director of Athletic Performance, Chuck Hollwedel, on the BRSN Insider.
Shakespeare once said, "Some are born great, and some have greatness thrust upon them. The rest of us," he said, "have to achieve greatness." We know exactly what he means. Be not afraid of greatness. Achieve it. Benedictine College, where greatness begins.